My name's Matt, you're watching Hooked on Rust, and this is my Datsun 1200. This is my Datsun 1200 ute, or Datsun Sunny, depending where you're from. I've had this ute for about 5 years. It was the cheapest running and driving Datsun I could find at the time when I bought it. I bought it up in Newcastle. The guy just wanted to get rid of it, and then once I had it on the trailer, he was like, yeah, it's too much rust, too much work to get on the road. And I was like, oh, great. I tried to get it registered, but yeah, seals were gone, floors were gone, all that. It needed major repairs, and putting things back to stock isn't really what I do. Why I wanted a Datsun 1200, I've just always loved them. The shape of them being so small, I feel like for a small car, they're quite aggressive looking. Yeah, just the shape of them is outstanding, and they've always been a very popular car to modify. So as you can see, I've dragged this thing out now. Have it sitting pretty well as it's going to sit. You can see the front is actually on the ground and that wheel's tucking in. So that's what episode 1 is all about. We're working on putting wheel tubs in the front, because before, them wheels, even though they're just a 14, they would not fit in there because the inner tub structure and strut structure came so low that if it was sitting on top of the wheel, it'd be this far off the ground in the front. And obviously that's not the point of this car. We've started out by cutting out the tubs in the front. I probably advise to make your tubs fit and then cut the car out, because it was a bit hard to get it to fit. But anyway, we've cut the tubs out in the front. We've done that so we can make sure we know where the wheel wants to sit. We've started with good old bloody trailer mud flaps. We've started doing some cutting. So that, if you can see it, gives you a bit of an idea. Before, the original tub was kind of sitting down, a few inches down from where this one's sitting up in here. This thing's got to be low, and it's got to be able to turn while low. So we've also had clearance with it running into the back here. So I've cut out firewall wheel tub back here, and this will kind of sit up in there and give us more room. This is the passenger side, so there's not really any issue with however big we have to make it here, but I want them to be symmetrical. And then on the driver's side, we obviously have to fit throttle, brake, clutch pedal. So we started with the strut towers forward. We started cutting that out and getting a shape. It was at that time when I had it on the ground where the wheel was going to fit, I realized I actually had to pick out all the spot welds of the strut tops and move them inboard 30 mil, because we've got some camber on the front now, and the bag on the strut would have run into the strut tower. So we've moved them in, so with the camber, we've got enough room for the bag in there. We're going to have to get custom struts made. We may still end up moving the strut tops up. You can see I've moved them in 35 mil. That wheel's just sitting in there. Will the camera focus in there? It'll probably sit about there. So yeah, we should have enough room now to get a strut in here. So yeah, the thing sat in the shed for a couple of years, and one day I just decided, let's go ahead, let's do it. So the entire floor has been cut out, the tub, the chassis has been cut out. We've tied chassis rails into the front of the body, and they run through with a massive notch in the back. We've also put flat floors in it. Floors are sitting lower since it's such a small car. We've cut out all of the rust, because we've cut out pretty much everything, but we've got new rear quarters on the car. What else have I done to this? The Vest 1. My favorite addition, and the hardest modification I've done so far, is suicide doors. Never seen it on a Datsun. World's first, possibly. But yeah, it goes with that mini truck, lowrider, hot rod style. So the doors open backwards. That's probably one of my favorite modifications so far. I think my favorite part about the car is just the size of it. Look at it. It's great. The size is absolutely the best bit. And then this is the second best bit. Just remove my tape door handle. Look at that. So yeah, I got a wheel to stop, but they open to there. That's heaps of room to get in and out. Oh, it's going to be fun to get in and out when we've bloody got it working. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The size is my favourite part of the car, for sure. How tall are you?
155 centimeters.
What's that in feet?
5 foot nothing.
5 foot nothing. Have you ever been taller than a car before?
No. This is a first for me.
I'm not a fabricator or an engineer, anything of that kind. So everything's been a big learning curve, trying to figure out how to do it myself. And I want to do it all myself. I don't want to send it to a shop. You know, I enjoy the build process. I enjoy figuring things out, doing it myself. And you know, you just got to remind yourself it's just metal. You can cut it out and you can put it back. If I was to say I'm proud of anything so far, it would probably just be having the rear quarters on. My dad's a panel guy, owned a panel shop, owned a paint shop, and he said, yeah, all the lines are right, all the lines are correct. I remember cutting them off and being like, oh my God, this thing is never going back together. What the hell am I doing? But as I said, it's just metal. You cut it off, put it back on, and you figure it out. Same with the suicide doors. The biggest challenge building this thing is procrastination, honestly. Questioning myself and my ability. I'm no professional, obviously, as I've said, but yeah, a lot of time is spent in the shed, on the chair, sitting and looking and thinking. And I work full time, have a young family, so time is limited as it is. Some days you got to get in and get it done, otherwise you'll just sit there all day and keep wondering what to do next. So yeah, although this rust bucket could probably be replaced for about 4 or 5 grand, it has sentimental value to me just because, you know, one day when I get there, I'll be able to look at this thing and say, yeah, I built that. So if you've been watching the YouTube, you might have seen I bought a Rotary powered Hilux. And I said that was going into another project. This is that project. The whole idea from the get-go was to put a Rotary in this thing. I just love how they sound. They're small, they fit. I love how they sound. Oh, and did I mention I love how they sound? So yeah, just an NA 13B Bridgeport for all the brup noises. You know, it doesn't have to be fast. It's small, it's light, it's low. We just want to idle around the city and brap, brap, brap. That's it. The idea of this car, you know, money and time, they're a thing, but they're not a thing. Everything I'm doing, I'm trying to do myself. Facebook Marketplace is my best friend. We're trying to do everything somewhat cheap. If money and time wasn't a thing, then someone else would be building it. But yeah, I don't care when it gets done. We're just going to keep chipping away at it. And yeah, we'll spend the money where we have to, and we'll just use scrap for everything else. So I just mentioned time's not an issue. It takes as long as it takes. But a few of my friends have invited me up to Halfway Havoc, which is like a hot rod mini truck show at Valor Beach. And it's in July. It's currently March. So I've given myself a deadline to have this thing there. There's no way in the world it's going to be complete final form, but I'm going to push to get this thing rolling, and hopefully it can maybe drive in and out on its own power, but that'll probably be it. Oh, this thing keeps pinching my butt. So with this, you may have seen a lot of Datsuns, highly modified, and they've all got 18-inch Simmons and whatnot. That's not my style. We're going with Japanese SSR Mark IIs, 14-inch, 14 by 9 in the back, 14 by 8.5 Neg 7 in the front. As you see it is how it will sit, and I love it. I don't think a wheel has to be up to here. Like, it's perfect as it is, and the seal's on the ground. What more could you want? All right, so I'm going to try and work on finishing this side up a bit. I've got a little infill panel here. My radius is pretty good. And if you don't have these rare earth magnets in your toolbox, you should get some. They're sold at Bunnings as like stud finders, but they're just a really strong magnet. So you can see that's kind of holding that in place for me. Now I got 2 hands free to mark where it's sticking out so that I can get it in flush. We've got a bump down here that's stopping this going in flush. So we've got those trailer mud flaps tacked in place. Had a little template just cut out so we could fill in the sides. There was a few other rust spots, so we had to try to make it flow seamlessly. We've ground a lot of it back, used just some exhaust pipe where there was curves to clean up that section. I realized if we turned, the back of the wheel was hitting on the back of the tub or the firewall. So we've actually had to cut the firewall out and bring this tub into the cabin, which is going to cause a plethora of other issues on the driver's side with brake pedal and throttle pedal, etc. Once we got these things sort of sitting and tacked in place and we checked it all cleared, I've come to the decision we're 3/4 of the way to cutting out the firewall. So that may have to happen, but I don't want to put a flat firewall in there. So we're probably going to leave that until I have some money to buy a bead roller. Then we will end up finishing off the back half of these tubs and the firewall and just start from fresh. We've started grinding back all the welds and making them smooth. There's still a lot of body work to go on in there and lots of holes and stuff to fill. But we've made some pretty good progress on getting that done. Halfway through, I was not happy with how it looked. I thought it looked terrible. I mean, at the end of the day, the best engine bay is one you never have to look at or work on. So that was in the back of my mind, but now that we got it kind of sanded and looking half presentable, I'm pretty stoked with the way it looks. It's there for a purpose. It was pretty cheap, quick and easy. One thing I would absolutely advise on if you're going to get into a build this extreme, get the thing sandblasted. Like, God, the amount of time I've spent grinding off paint and sealants and all kinds of stuff, and it just makes a mess. It is just worth getting your car sandblasted. There's probably some footage of me in here fiddling around with the strut tops. I want them to kind of flow into the rest of the engine bay. I'm really unsure how we'll do that, but that's something still to finish. I would like to have some sort of curve in there. There's big old tubs, I think we have to keep it all curvy now. You'll see for some rusty spots I cut out in front of the tubs, I've just used some old exhaust pipe. I've cut it up and just measured and played around with it till something that fit right. Just cut the rust out and welded that in. It's come up pretty good. So we're going handheld. This is kind of where we're up to. The fronts, I've got a lot of finishing to do. I've just started. We haven't worked on the back because we're going to redo this whole firewall. I feel like it's going to take just as much time to redo the firewall as it is to try to fill all them holes and clean it and whatever. Just cut it out, start fresh. But yeah, it's kind of the perfect shape for this. Like, this is already pretty flat, so it just tees in. And this is pretty well on the ground. The chassis on the ground in there. So you can see why we had to do this. I will overlay some original footage. This came down a few inches here, and these, yeah, you can see right there, that's kind of where the strut started going down in there. So we had to move all of this up so that this wheel would actually have space. Why is this camera not focusing, dude? Yeah. Obviously, we've got grinding and cutting and stuff to do to finish off all the inside. Everything's getting rusty because it's been raining. I bought something else off Facebook Marketplace and my ADHD brain will not let me get back into here. I have to move on and have a play with this next thing that we're going to put in, and you'll see all about it soon. So yeah, I think this is going to be it for episode 1 of the Datsun 1200 build. I have not edited the videos. I have not looked at the footage. I don't know what I've got, what I haven't got. However it comes out, please leave your comments. Please let me know what you want to see more of, less of, what I can fix. Over time, I want to make this Datsun build series really high quality for you guys to watch, because it's something I'm passionate about, and you know, I want to have a history of it, on how I built it, share it with the world, etc. So please let me know. We are not finished in the engine bay, obviously. I still need to fix that firewall in the back half of the tubs. But the real reason I'm not getting back in there is we got some bits and bobs off another car that I want to fit to this, and I'm really excited about it, and my ADD brain just won't let me work in there. I got to get stuck into this and see if it's actually going to work or not, or if it's just a crazy idea. But if you've got a keen eye, you might be able to tell what I'm talking about already. But yeah, I think I've got enough footage. We'll leave it at there, part one of doing that engine bay. Part two, because I'm excited, we're probably going to be working on this next thing. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. My name's Matt. This is Hooked on Rust. This is my 1200.